Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new Let's Play series from Arthenex Games. Arthenex plays King Arthur, the role-playing war game. This is quite an old game now. It's probably 3 or 4 years old at least. It came out in 2013, maybe it was 2012. I kind of forget now. Anyway, it's actually one of my favorite games that's come out in the last few years. It never was very popular. It kind of flew under the radar, as far as I could tell. It had a lot. It had a lot of technical issues when it came out. It was pretty buggy, and it did not get a huge amount of review or following, which is too bad in my opinion, because it has a lot of the elements that I really enjoy. It's a fantasy role playing game. It's primarily a tactical battle game on the lines of Total War, but it has some really interesting strategic elements. It's got some really interesting role playing elements, and as a total package, it's really really fun. So I've played it before. I haven't played it in a little while, but I'm going to be starting up a new campaign. I do have a pretty good knowledge of King Arthur, the role playing war game. I wouldn't say I know everything there is to know about it, but I do have a pretty good knowledge of it. I'm going to be playing the original campaign in this Let's Play, and we're going to play very hard. The AI in this game is okay. It's reasonable. The tactical battle AI, is, well, it is what it is. It's not great. But if you play on very hard, you are going to be severely outnumbered all the time. And the enemy heroes are also going to be significantly higher level than your heroes pretty much all the time as well. On top of that, in the strategic game, your gold and food income is going to be it's going to be difficult to maintain very big armies. So this is going to be tough. I have played, like I said, I have played this game before, so I think it will be manageable. Hopefully, I will not have to reload. I'm not planning on it, but if I'm not going to say that I absolutely won't either, if things go disastrously wrong. So anyway, I'm going to start it up on very hard here, and I'll let you listen to the introduction.
All began in the darkest years of Britannia, after Uther Pendragon, the last great king, died. It was then that the wizard Merlin summoned the warring rulers from their petty kingdoms. They all saw a great stone, and in the middle there was a sword inscribed with strange letters that said, "Only the true king can pull out this sword." When Arthur, the son of Uther Pendragon, pulled the sword out of the stone, suddenly everything changed in Britannia. In the wilderness, monsters awoke from their sleep. The air crackled around ancient stone circles. Something terrible happened, a cataclysm that changed the land and unleashed the tide of a terrible war. The ancient race of the Sidhe returned from the realm of twilight and thorns. And then came the knights. They were like giants wearing black steel and wielding strange weapons. They were powerful and invincible warriors. They might be the only hope in this age of wonders and mayhem. So begins the tale of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table.
All right. So there's going to be a couple tutorial messages here that we're going to kind of burn through really quickly. And I'll give you a little brief introduction about what's going on and what you're seeing on the map and how this game works. Just really briefly, and then we'll just kind of get into it.
Sir, I am your foster father, and I brought you up as my own flesh and blood. You are my king, and I promise that I shall not fail you. However, you are still inexperienced with the ways of warfare. I would be glad if I could give you advice from time to time. And please accept the sword of my son, your foster brother, Sidhe, who will be your faithful knight.
So that's Sir Ector who's talking. He's one of my advisors, but he does not actually appear in the game. Sir Kay, on the other hand, does, and is pretty significant. We're playing as King Arthur. We are not going to take to the field of battle ourselves. Instead, we are going to be controlling our armies, both on the world map here and in tactical combat. So our symbol is this golden, I guess that's a lion, this golden lion on a blue field.
Ready to serve.
And here you can see we're starting in West Cornwall in Britain. The game is played on a map of southern Britain. The northern boundary is kind of the northern boundary of the ownable land is here. This up here is Bedegreen Forest, which is the realm of the Sidhe. We can go in there, but we can't occupy any of it, and it never produces any income or anything for us. So you can see we go all the way from Essex and Norfolk over here in the east to Wales, Cornwall in the west, and the land is divided up into these provinces. Later on, these provinces are going to produce gold and food for us based on their development level, their towns, and what supernatural forces or unpleasant nobles or serfs have done in the provinces recently. But right now, we don't really have access to any of that. For the first little while, in the game, we're going to be concentrating on just kind of conquering ourselves a kingdom. We start owning just this one town over here, and I can't select it until I move off of it. So you can see just this one town, and we have to deal with these rebels. Cornwall is our starting province, and Cornwall has 3 locations in it. You don't own a province until you control all of the locations in that province. At the start of the game, we just control this one. So I'm going to move my army out of it so I can at least see what it is. So it's Arbray, the southernmost castle in Britannia, an unfriendly settlement with bleak towers, grey houses, and the toughest soldiers of the province. So we start with this city, and that's it. We will not win the game until not only have we conquered all of Britannia, but also resolved the invasion of the Sidhe and a couple of other significant events that are going to take place. So we're going to start off by reclaiming the rest of our starting province from these rebels, and we're going to start by moving up here and attacking. So you can see our army here consists of these 4 units plus a hero. You can see them down in the bottom right. If I open up the screen here, we can get a better look at them. So we got 4 units, 3 sets of footmen and 1 set of heavy footmen. These are just, they're footmen. They're basic soldiers. And our hero here. Heroes are always attached to a unit of soldiers. That means that for every hero, and this is the maximum amount of soldiers you can have in any one army, which means that for every hero you have in your army, that's one fewer to your maximum set of regiments that you can actually have in that army. So there's a little bit of a trade-off with having heroes, although they're generally worth it. This hero, Sir Kay, I can get a little bit more information on him by looking at him over here. We can see he's level 1. Here's his experience, this green bar. When it fills up, he'll get to level 2. When he gets to level 2, well, I'll go over that when that happens. He's got 5 basic attributes over here, and then a bunch of skills. Some of these are passive, some of them are active on the in the tactical battle map. These are the skills that are related to his class. He is a let's see, what is his class? Can't remember. He's here you go. He's a warlord. So warlords are like leader units. They're not. They don't get too many combat or magic abilities. Basically, they're mostly focused on making your provinces better and making your army as a whole better without themselves being powerful in tactical combat. In my opinion, they're the worst class of heroes because this game is all about tactical combat, and the fact that they don't really do that much in tactical combat means that they're kind of sucky. However, that being said, it is possible to make at least one of our warlord heroes be meaningful in tactical combat, and we're going to be attempting to do that with Sir Kay. Since he starts at level 1, he's the only hero that we get to actually control how he levels up. So we'll do our best with him. So you can see right now he has Fog of Avalon. That's his only skill. You can get a description of it down here. Fog covers the entire battlefield. Decreases accuracy of all ranged units by 50%. It actually does a lot more than that. It dramatically reduces the range at which you can shoot arrows. And archers are extremely powerful in this game. So this is a significant spell, especially since we're not starting with any archers. So that's his starting skill. When he levels up, he'll be able to choose one of these class skills, or he can choose a list of general skills. These lists of class skills, of course, every hero who's a warlord will have access to these. The general skills, however, are unique per hero. In other words, no two heroes will have access to the same list of general skills, which really, even amongst the warlord the heroes of the same class, really makes each hero feel pretty unique. In addition to that, he can also equip items. So up here, this is his general information. This is his skills. I can go to general information. This tells you his... up here would be provinces that he's governing, if and when we actually get any provinces for him to govern. And his benefits to his provinces are determined by this stat here, which is his reign, which does nothing for armies or battles, but increases the income and gold and food income of the provinces that he governs. Over here we have 3 traits. These traits further influence generally the provinces he governs. There's a couple that apply in combat or on the map, but in general they just apply to the provinces he governs. So Arrogant Britain, -3 loyalty in owned fiefdoms with a different culture. Ferocious, plus 30% military in owned fiefdoms. Military is how many units you can recruit in a province. And Stern, plus 25% tax income in the owned fiefdoms. So as long as we stick to British provinces, he's a pretty good ruler. Stern and Ferocious is a pretty good combination. And then down here we can see his morality. Right now he's neutral, as are we. He's a little bit unique in that I think he kind of drifts with you. Whichever morality you go on, he'll always be pretty loyal, but most heroes have a starting morality and then that's where they stay. And then artifacts. So he starts with the brass leaf pendant, which gives him +1 leadership. Each hero can equip a weapon, an armor, and 2 charms. And artifacts can be very, very powerful in this game. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move up and engage these rebels. You see our army walks across the map. So here we can see the rebel army. They have 2 sets of rebels. We can't... Oh, down here we can get the stats on the rebels. As you can see, if you compare them to the footmen, they're pretty comparable. Okay, yeah, it is switching. It just takes a minute. So the footmen are actually better than the rebels, stats-wise, and there's more footmen per stack than the rebels, although it looks like there could be more rebels. These stacks are not at full strength. However, the rebels have 3 bowmen. This is a tutorial fight. We're actually going to skip this because we don't get anything for doing it, and I don't need to do the tutorial, and I'll show you how combat works in a real fight fairly shortly. So we'll skip the tutorial. You can see we get 100 experience for each of our units, 60 experience for our hero, and we take no losses. The first victory. You have done very well, my king. You have successfully defeated the band of rebels. Now I humbly ask you to heed my advice. Not far from here, on the northern shore, you'll find a castle where a rebellious duke is trying to gather a bigger army. Attack him immediately while he is still weak. A group of archers has just arrived to help your cause. Take them with you. So we got 2 archers and a light cavalry. And our movement was emptied by the tutorial system. So I'll go ahead and press end turn. That will advance the season. You can see up here, return 1 spring. This is the amount of gold and food I have in my stores. Each turn lasts 1 season, so spring, summer, fall, winter. The seasons affect, mainly they affect movement. During spring and fall, you get normal amount of movement. During summer, you get 50% extra movement for your armies. And during winter, your armies cannot move. They're stuck in place, so there's no combat or movement during winter. Other than that, seasons don't affect too much. So now it's the summer turn. So up here we can see also, you can see we have different types of locations. Towns, like the one we started in, are where you recruit units, also where you make money. They're the most important locations in the province. Here, this one, Bodmin Moor, was a swamp. Generally, locations that aren't towns only have an effect if you are... I'm going to skip this tutorial as well. If you, there's two different types. Some of them... all right, so we skipped the tutorial. We got a slightly bigger army, and we have a new province of Cornwall here. Some of them, like this swamp, I don't think this does anything. Some of them have an effect if you station a hero in them. Like, let me see if I can show you an example. Yeah, like this one, for example, this manor. Oh, it's not showing us the effects yet. I guess that hasn't happened. Later on in the game, some of them will have an effect if you station a hero in them. Some of them increase the chance of getting specific kinds of random events. Other ones give you income of gold or food when you station heroes there. Other ones give you experience for your army, or heal back wounded regiments in your army, or give you experience for your heroes. These abbeys give you research if you station heroes in them. So some of them can be very significant. And then there's some that just give you bonuses for the army who's standing on it in combat. So they make it easier to defend those. But regardless of what kind of location it is, you have to have all the locations in a province in order to control it. Now we're going to get a new quest.
Greetings to you, my lord. In Uther Pendragon's time, the two neighbors, Dorset and Dumnonia, were the two most influential provinces of the south. Now King Idris, the tyrant of Dorset, has decided that the time is right to raid the neighboring lands. King Mark, the rightful ruler of Dumnonia, is preparing for the fight. Each of these kings wants your help, and each offers a different reward.
So this gives us access to the objective screen for the first time. So the objective screen is where you will find the major quests that will advance the story of the game. So here we have a choice. This is one quest, but the outcome will be different depending on who we attack. If we attack King Idris the Tyrant, we'll get this reward, +1 to rightful, and King Mark and his soldiers will join our army. If we attack King Mark, then we'll get this reward, 8,000 gold, a Sword of the Ancients, which is an artifact, +1 magic, +1 fight, and the third ability, -30% cooldown, that is unlocked after this artifact has been wielded in 10 battles. You can see here, this is pretty common in this game for artifacts to have abilities that are not available right when you get the artifact, but have to be unlocked by achieving specific things. This one's pretty simple. You just have to have it in 10 battles. And +1 to Tyrant. This is also unlocked. Oh, it hasn't yet. But eventually this will unlock, we'll see the morality screen. So the morality screen is where there's two axes of morality, rightful and tyrant, and she and Christian. And depending on depending on your choices in the game, you will advance down those axes. And those axes are not just flavorful, they're also quite relevant. You will unlock different units and abilities depending on which axis you go down, and it will also alter the ending of the game depending on which axis you go down. But just like in games like Mass Effect, you want to make a decision early on and stick to it, because otherwise you will miss out on most of the awesome bonuses. So I'm going to be rightful in this playthrough, which is the first thing I have to decide. That means I want to attack this guy, King Idris. So we're gonna skip that artifact, and that's gonna also let King Mark, who's another hero, join our army. So we're gonna grab Sir Kay here, and this is the first battle we're actually gonna have to fight. And you can see we cannot quite make it to his army this turn, so we'll just move as far as we can. And the next turn will be winter, and we won't be able to move at all during winter. So we'll stop here. So this was a castle, yeah. And end our turn. And now you can see winter. Each season is different, my lord. You have to keep that in mind. So I'm just going to skip this. So winter, you don't move. However, winter is when you can level up your units. It's also when you can build more buildings in your stronghold. You collect your food production in winter when you start owning provinces. And then the winter is also when you can build new buildings once you start getting strongholds. But for now, the main thing about winter is it lets us level up. So our hero here leveled up. We get a skill point and an ability point here. So we kind of have to decide what we want this hero to be good at. And having played the campaign before, I know that I want him to be especially good at magic. So I'm going to up his magic stat, which gives him slightly more mana points in combat. That's going to be the first thing I'm going to up for him. And then down here, we have to pick a skill for him, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Wisdom. There is no hero cap in this game, at least none that I've ever gotten to. And the fact that this applies to not just him, but all the units and other heroes in his army means that I really like this one, especially if you take it early. So we're going to go ahead and take, we're going to go ahead and take Wisdom for him. So we'll add that to his list of skills, and immediately he'll start gaining more experience. So then we have the Heavy Footmen. Now, for regular units, they do level up. They can get up to level 10. At level 5 and at level 10, they get to pick a new special ability, which go down here. And every level, they get to advance one of their stats. So I like having more durable troops, so I tend to improve defense on my melee units. So we're going to give them +1 defense. As you can see, that gave them +3% hit points, +3% armor. If we look at their stats, it increases their armor by 1. But still, extra hit points, extra armor, and extra range defense. We're going to upgrade the defense on our footmen as well. Close that window, and that's it for our first year. And now it's once again spring, and we can go attack this army. So we're going to move in, and you guys are going to see tactical combat for the first time. Attack. So here you can see the army breakdown. It's pretty one-sided. We have a pretty significant advantage. However, we do have to watch out for this. Dragon's Breath is an ability that will immediately kill a certain percentage of units in each regiment that it hits, but it can only hit one regiment at a time. However, at higher levels, it has a really short cooldown. He's also got a few bowmen and some axemen, but this should be a pretty straightforward fight. So now, since I chose to battle it myself in tactical combat, and I am the attacker gets to choose the map. Now, most maps are set up to have a significant advantage for the defender in the fight, but the attacker does get to choose them, which means that after you've played the game for a while, you get to know some of the maps. You learn which maps have stronger advantages for the defender and the attacker, and which maps favor different unit types. So here we have a choice of 3 maps: the Verdant Meadows, the Saltwind Plateau, and the Valley of Thorns and Crystal. I'm going to go ahead and take Saltwind Plateau, and it will load up the map. Why did I choose Saltwind Plateau? It's been a while since I played this game, and I remember Saltwind Plateau being a pretty good map for the attacker. I'll go ahead and let it go through the intro cutscene really quickly for this map. I won't do it for all the maps. This is going to show us the different victory locations that are available in the map. So the victory locations are spots around the map where we can get victory points. And basically, the battle is going to have a victory bar. So the battle is over when one of two things happens. Either we kill all the opposing units, or the victory bar, we empty out our opponent's victory bar while we still have some left. While we control more victory locations than they do, our bar will fill up and their bar will shrink. And you can see here's the two bars right here. So while we control more, and they'll start full as soon as the battle actually starts, our bar will fill up if it's been emptied, and their bar will shrink. If they get to, if either side gets to 0, then the battle ends, and the other side immediately wins. So, and it's very, very important to control victory locations in this game, which makes units like these light cavalry, which are not that great in combat but are very fast and maneuverable, quite good, because you can use them to really control victory locations. Alright, so now we're in the setup phase of the battle, and I'm setting up my armies here. I'm going to send my cavalry up here. I'm going to move them over here, because I'm going to send... you can see there's... This map, there's one victory location over here, there's one straight ahead of us, and there's two close together over here. The battle is really... Like, the enemies are going to get this one. So the battle's really going to turn on who can control these three. So if I can get all three of them, then I'll have the advantage. If my enemy gets one of them, then it's even. And if my enemy gets two of those three, then I'll be at a disadvantage. So my cavalry is going to go contest this one. This one's really far away from both of our starting locations. So I'm hoping that my cavalry can get there and control it basically uncontested. But we'll see. So, and then I'm going to send my main army to go try and secure these two victory locations that are on the left-hand side of the map here. Alright, so I have these guys set up kind of how I want. I'm going to go ahead and hit start battle. Then I'm going to immediately pause. And I'm going to issue my first orders. So I'm going to send my cavalry over here. They just have to stand next to it for a little bit in order to control it. So I'll send them over there. I'm going to send one of my light infantry, because they're a little bit faster than my... oh, those are heavies. Alright, yeah, these guys. I'm going to send one of my light infantry over here to get that one. And then the main battle is going to be, probably going to be over this victory location here. Now, in addition to providing victory points so that you can actually win the game, victory locations are also provide you with different benefits for controlling them. This is the one that's already moving, right? Yeah. And some of those are quite significant because, like this one, for example, the church. If you control the church... Oops, I didn't want to do that. Should have deselected my units first. Now I got to re-give them the marching order. Okay. The church, for example, will allow... If you control the church, it will give you a range around the church, and you can cast a healing spell on it. Which is not super useful since it's off in the middle of nowhere, generally. But... for some of them, they can be very significant. This map doesn't really have, and this one grants Master for Tactics spell, which is an okay spell, but not super great. This gives you plus 20% food if you control it at the end of the battle in loot. The village is probably the most meaningless. It regenerates stamina of all the units in the village. So none of the victory locations on this one are particularly important, but some of them can be quite significant, so it's important to know what they are. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and increase this speed here. I'll go up to 4 times speed at the beginning of this battle. As you can see, this cavalry is heading over there. None of his units are heading over there. So I'm going to get this victory location uncontested. He's going to get this one pretty much uncontested. And we're both sending units over here. Alright, I'm going to drop it down. And I'm going to send my light infantry over there as well. And just to make sure that I get this, I'll move these guys over a little bit. Make sure I'm still within range of that. Alright. So now I have 2, and he has 1 at the moment. So you're going to see him start to drop. Alright, in the meantime, our armies are starting to approach. So, let me pause it for a second. So here, this dotted line, these are archers. This dotted line represents the range of the archers. So both ours and his archers have that same range. So when you're fighting against, when you're concerned about archers, you want to spread your units out as much as possible. So I'm going to spread my units out, and my archers are going to start firing on his units here. In the meantime, it looks like he's going to get that before I can stop him. Alright, so his units are coming in range. So I'm going to order my archers to start by firing on his footmen. Now, when his archers come in range, I'm probably going to want to switch to having them fire on the archers. But the footmen, you can see, they are unarmored, and my archers are just going to absolutely destroy them as they come in. See, I've already killed 3 of them. So they killed a couple more. But now his archers are firing on my archers. So I'm going to switch back to his archers, because his archers will kind of kill mine fairly quickly if I don't fire back. So now I'm going to move my infantry up there. With his archers firing on my archers, my infantry should be relatively safe. This is kind of like the pre-archery duel. Alright, so he's going to leave, it looks like. So I'm going to send those guys to chase him down while that guy goes and secures the victory location. Alright, he's also moving this army, this regiment of axemen, out of this victory location, which means I'm going to send my light cavalry over here to kind of sneak in behind him and grab it. Now, these guys are about to engage in combat, so I'm going to switch them to the wedge formation, which gives them a little bit more of a bonus in melee combat. I also want my hero to get in on the action, because my hero gets experience from attacking. Get up there. So you can see his archers, my archers have taken a few hits, but his archers are just getting decimated. Or annihilated, really, I should say. Yeah, there's only 6 left. Average hit points 41%. So I'm going to go ahead and switch these guys to attacking the axemen. You can see we just captured this location, which means I can move this guy away. There's only 1 bowman left, so he's not going to do too much damage. In the meantime, my hero is now fighting. And he's taking a little bit of damage, but nothing too serious. And my archers are just totally devastating these axemen as they're trying to come in and flank my unit. Archers are incredibly significant in this game. Most battles are about the archers. But I don't want to fire on them when they actually get into melee combat, because they will also deal collateral damage to my units that are fighting them in melee combat. And with that in mind, I'm actually going to have these guys withdraw. And I'm going to attack these guys with the archers. Because, again, these guys are unarmored. The archers are just going to devastate them, and I won't risk losing any more troops. Now you can see I'm controlling all the victory locations. So up here, this total line is the maximum morale. As I kill his units, this goes down. The red line is his current morale. As I control more victory locations, that goes down. So you can see I'm winning this battle in 2 different ways. I'm slaughtering his units, and by controlling all 4 victory locations, I'm also rapidly diminishing his morale. And you can see the archers have killed almost all of these guys. And my units, I might actually be taking some collateral archer damage fire here. But I still think I'm better off than if I'd actually been fighting these guys in melee combat. And up here, so this battle's probably going to be over before I wipe him out totally. You can see this unit, and I'm having my archers stop attacking just by moving them. You can see this part of the fight has been pretty bloody, despite the fact that I outnumber him fairly significantly, but there you go. His morale was reduced to 0, and we won the fight. So we took some losses, but I would consider them acceptable. We lost 51 soldiers on our side, and he lost 198. His losses are kind of irrelevant since his army gets eliminated when he loses the fight. However, we are going to get King Mark to join us, and he's going to bring in some more units, as well as another hero. So these are the gold and food reward we got. Since we controlled the mill at the end of the fight, we get 20% more on this number, basically. We wiped out him. Sir Kay got 200 experience, which is quite a lot, actually. And you can see our archers also got quite a bit of experience each, as did our heavy footmen. Our light footmen, who did very little fighting, and our cavalry, which did none, got no experience. Alright, so we completed the objective. That also ended this guy's move. And now you can see the morality chart. So we have advanced 1 rightful on the morality chart, and you can see all of the different things. So this is just one tab. These are the spells that are unlocked. The spells you can see are mostly a matter of Old Faith versus Christian and not so much rightful or tyrant. On the other hand, many of these abilities are tied more closely to rightful or tyrant. And here's the units tab. So that's just a quick preview of what that looks like. So we're going to end our turn, and King Mark's going to come down here and join us. And King Mark used to be a proud monarch. When the tides of change swept through the land, he had his own plans to rise in power, but he had to accept that he had no chance in this new age of magic and mayhem. So he sent his heartfelt gratitude for your help, my lord, and recognized you as the new king. He also sent out the word to his soldiers. Those who want to join your ranks are free to do so. So here, now we've unlocked the round table screen. So this is where all of our knights are going to appear. This is also the maximum number of knights we can have at any one time. Although if we get more than this, they'll go up here to the waiting area. And if any of our knights are killed, then they'll come back up. Then the waiting area knights will come in, killed or desert us because their loyalty falls too low. If your knight's loyalty falls too low for whatever reason, generally because their morality and yours are totally incompatible, then they may desert you and take their artifacts with them. So here we have Sir Kay, the knight that we've already had, and then here we have King Mark. So he is a champion hero. These guys can be ridiculously powerful in combat, especially when they have access to the Breath Stealer attack. But we'll talk more about that later. You can see he starts with Armor of Faith, which reduces 10% of the melee attacks and actually reflects 10% of the melee attacks that attack him personally, and also gives him plus 10 magic resistance. He also has Dragon Strike, which does a bunch of damage to 6 units for 40 mana. This seems really good. It's actually not that great. I hardly ever use it. And this is a passive ability, though, so it's obviously awesome. And he has Guardian Angel, which this applies to all the attacks aimed at the hero's unit, not just the hero. This one only applies against the attacks aimed at at the hero's unit. They're both hero's units, sorry. My mistake. But if your hero looks like he's about to die, you can pop Guardian Angel and give him a little bit of more survivability. And then he also has the warrior skills, but we'll take a closer look at that when he levels up. So he's joined us here, and over here in our objectives, you can see we've completed Help King Mark. So we got our +1 rightful, and King Mark and his soldiers have joined our army. Now we have to conquer all the locations in Dumonia. You can see there's 4 of them here. So in order to do that more efficiently, what I'm going to do is actually split up my army. So if I look at my 2 heroes, the most relevant stat for army movement is adventuring, which is the horse. So you can see that King Mark has 3 of the horse, and Sir Kay has only 1. So King Mark, if he was leading the army, would get more movement per turn. However, because Sir Kay has that awesome wisdom ability, that's going to improve the experience of King Mark as long as Sir Kay is leading the army. Sir Kay is still going to be the main leader. But I'm going to send King Mark on the longer trip. I'm also, instead of having King Mark command these sentinels, I'm going to have him command these heavy infantry. So, and then I'm going to split this army up. I don't think I get, those yet. I'm going to put King Mark by himself.
Yes, my liege.
He has the longer trip, so I'm going to send him to collect those 2 locations.
On my way.
And meet me back, probably back over here.
On my way.
In the meantime, I'm actually going to have him go here first.
On my way.
And now it seems nonsensical because this location is kind of on the way to that one, but I actually want to end here for a couple of reasons. This is a town, so I might be able to refresh my troops. I don't think I've unlocked that ability yet. And also, I know this is in the middle of a swamp. So I'm going to end my move on a road as opposed to a swamp, so that I'm more mobile for my next quest.
A new conflict is brewing from the south. It revolves around the fate of a wealthy province, Salisbury. King Idris, the tyrannical ruler of Dorset in the south, is preparing for an attack, and the rightful king of Somerset is gathering his forces to protect Salisbury from the north. Both Dorset and Somerset want you to help them in their battle for Salisbury, and they both offer long-term alliances.
So we have to make another choice here. Here we have alliance with Dorset or alliance with Somerset. So we're going to have to wipe out either King Bertram or King Idris. And wiping out King Bertram is a tyrant choice. It gives us the Banner of Lost Kings, which gives us more of a bonus to our hero's leadership stat, which reduces the maintenance cost of our armies. Over here, this one gives us a bonus to the reign stat, which improves the income of our provinces, and more rightful. So since we're going to be rightful, that we are going to attack King Idris. And we can look at our map, which has now been unlocked, and we can see here's Dorset and here's Somerset. So we want to attack King Idris of Dorset, who is over here. And we can see that right now King Idris has occupied one of the locations in Dorset. So, and here's King Idris's army, and here's our army.
Yes, my king.
But before we fight him, I would really like to get Sir Mark back, King Mark back over here. And here we have volunteers. So this is going to allow us to refresh our troops, but I'm not going to do that yet, because once we do it, it's going to go away, and I want to be able to do it after I fight this army. But that's going to be in our next episode. So thanks for watching, everybody. If you're enjoying King Arthur, the role-playing war game, please be sure and like the video. It really helps out, especially on the first episode of a new series. And feel free to leave comments or questions or suggestions about things that I should be doing differently or that you disagree with my take on this game. And I hope to see you once again in our next episode. In the meantime, have a terrific day, everybody.